Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating theory, one that suggests there's a hidden mathematical code embedded in ancient texts and artifacts, almost like a divine signature just waiting for us to find it.
So, let's just jump right in. This single question from our source material is really the key that unlocks this entire idea. It's asking us to look past just the symbolic meaning and to seriously consider the possibility of divine engineering.
Now, to even begin to wrap our heads around this, we need to understand a foundational tool, Hebrew gematria. It's an ancient system where every single Hebrew letter has a number attached to it. The core idea is that words with the exact same numerical value are deeply, meaningfully connected. This is the decoder ring the researchers claim to be using.
And where does this investigation begin? Well, it starts with one of the most famous and mysterious objects in all of human history, the Ark of the Covenant.
Most of us know the Ark is this holy chest, right? A sacred religious relic. But the theory we're looking at today reframes it completely. It argues that the Ark isn't just a symbol, but a complex, functional, mathematical engine, a piece of divine hardware, if you will.
And the method they propose is just fascinating. This isn't just about ancient mysticism, it's about merging that gematria we talked about with modern geometry. By applying this kind of hybrid analysis to the Ark's biblical dimensions, researchers are claiming they've uncovered nothing less than a divine blueprint.
So let's get specific. What is this code they supposedly found hidden inside the Ark? What exactly is this signature?
At the very heart of this blueprint is a number you've probably seen before. It's the golden ratio, also known as phi. It pops up all over the place, in nature, in art, in architecture, and according to this theory, it's also precisely engineered right into the Ark. For these researchers, this is absolutely not a coincidence. They call it the infinite signature. They argue that finding it in the Ark means it reflects the fundamental constants of creation itself, the result of what they call terrifyingly precise engineering. This number literally becomes a mathematical bridge, connecting a physical object to the mind of its divine creator.
And this is the million-dollar question, right? Finding one pattern could just be a fluke, an anomaly. For it to be a real code, you'd have to find it in other, completely unrelated places.
To answer that, our source material points us to a totally different context. We're not looking at an object anymore. We're looking at a famous event from the biblical book of Judges, the story of Gideon's army.
You probably know the story. A huge Israelite army gets whittled down to just 300 men, and they somehow achieve this impossible victory. The central mystery, according to this theory, is that number. Why 300 specifically?
Well, the theory argues that this number was anything but random. It was another case of this mathematical code being put to use, this time not in wood and gold, but in people.
And here's where we pull out that decoder ring again. Using gematria, the number 300 corresponds directly to the numerical value of one single Hebrew letter, shin.
And here's the kicker. Shin isn't just a letter for a sound. It embodies a concept, spiritual fire. So all of a sudden, the number of soldiers isn't just a head count, it's a definition. This wasn't just an army of 300 men. It was an army of spiritual fire.
The sources actually call the selection process a divine filtration, designed to isolate a very specific spiritual frequency. The number 300 wasn't just a number. It was the blueprint for transforming a physical army into what the theory calls a living manifestation of holy fire, a literal spiritual force of nature.
Okay, so we've seen an object and an event. Now, the theory takes its most dramatic, most expansive turn yet. It broadens the map in a huge way, looking for this code in the ancient Vedic prophecies of India.
And what the researchers claim to find is, well, it's pretty stunning. When they compare these two ancient traditions, they see this amazing convergence. Both systems seem to rely on key numbers, like 7 in the Bible or 108 in Vedic chants, and similar interpretive methods. The claim is that both civilizations were somehow working from the very same numerical blueprint.
This is really the core of the argument for a universal code. The idea that two ancient civilizations, thousands of miles apart, would just happen to develop such similar sacred numerical systems is, according to the sources, so unlikely it just defies coincidence. They believe it points to a single celestial origin for this mathematical language.
So, what's the big unifying theory here? How do you connect the golden ratio in the Ark, the 300 soldiers of Gideon, and the shared numbers of ancient Israel and India?
It all comes down to this single grand idea.
The theory proposes that a divine architect left a consistent mathematical signature across all different aspects of creation. We see it engineered into the physics of a sacred object. We see it encoded into the story of a historical event. And we see it woven into the prophetic frequencies of global cultures.
This quote from the source material just sums up the ultimate conclusion perfectly. It reframes our entire reality, not as a bunch of random accidents, but as an intentional, mathematically precise, and elegant design. A calculated masterpiece, signed with a numerical seal.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending thought. If this theory is even remotely correct, and there really is a divine mathematical code underlying our world, then the patterns found so far might just be the very beginning. What other secrets, what other truths might still be waiting to be decoded?